So today's question is, can peripheral neuropathy affect the brain? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I will go into some of the specifics on this, but Dr. Rutherford does a lot of the intakes with our patients. He talks to patients when they're coming in. And why don't you give some of your experiences relative to this question?
Yeah, particularly in doing interviews relative to people who come in with balance problems. They've gone somewhere, they've had their inner ear checked and it's good. These are peripheral neuropathy patients, of course. Or they come in, they have peripheral neuropathy and they have restless leg syndrome. It's known in the literature, and we've seen it to be the case, and we utilize this data in our treatment protocols, that the brain needs to be stimulated. The brain needs to be stimulated by the feet. Okay, it needs to be stimulated by the feet. The feet need to come up. They need to stimulate something called your parietal lobe, for reasons Dr. Gates is going to go into. And they also need, I think it also needs to stimulate your frontal lobe too, right? He's the neurological guy. Frontal lobe, obviously a brain issue. If you have peripheral neuropathy, abdominal tingling, burning, those types of sensations, sharp shooting pains, those nerves probably aren't stimulating properly. Dr. Gates is going to go into that significantly more. Secondly, people who come in here with restless leg syndrome, they have something in their brain called a basal ganglia that needs to be stimulated. So the short answer is yes. Peripheral neuropathy definitely affects your brains, but in very specific ways.
Absolutely.
What are the specific ways?
Exactly.
I get a little bit more into detail here.
So detail is that you have to understand that if the nerves die and degenerate in your feet, they're not sending the signal up to the sensory area of your brain. It's termed the parietal lobe. Here's the front part of your brain. Right behind that is the parietal lobe right here. And the parietal lobe, they've shown in peripheral neuropathy patients who have diabetes, actually shrinks. It actually shrinks compared to other diabetic patients who don't have neuropathy. So we know that it's not just a diabetic problem, it's a diabetic peripheral neuropathy problem. And this is being extrapolated to other neuropathy. And when doctors are trying to treat you, what we have to realize is that many of your symptoms actually become based in the brain, because the brain is the last stop, so to speak, in terms of interpretation of the signals from the feet, which is just so interesting. So when that study came out in 2013, it was really just fantastic for doctors to really understand what's going on with you and how neuropathy does affect the brain. As Dr. Rutherford said, it also can negatively affect balance, because when we lose sensation of the feet, your balance center in your brain, which is at the bottom of the brain, it's called the cerebellum, it doesn't know where your feet are. So it's kind of like a plane flying without its instruments. And that's why many of you have balance problems. It goes further, as he was discussing, relative to restless leg syndrome, which involves a movement control system in your brain. So for any of you who've known someone with Parkinson's disease, those with Parkinson's disease can have unwanted movements of their hands, while they can also have trouble moving. They have trouble getting started, so to speak, when they're trying to walk. Well, we're not saying you have Parkinson's disease, but frequently patients with peripheral neuropathy will have restless leg syndrome. What happens there is that during the day, they have enough stimulation from their feet, even though the nerves are damaged in their feet. For those of you with neuropathic restless leg syndrome, they're getting stimulation from their legs, so they don't have the sensation of wanting to move their legs. But in the evening, because the nerves are damaged or dying, the brain isn't getting appropriate feedback. So the compensating mechanism is for the person to start wanting to ride their legs. So it's very interesting. Absolutely, diabetic peripheral neuropathy can affect the brain. Those are the reasons why. We have many videos on these topics. So you can go to www.powerhealthtalk.com, search peripheral neuropathy. You can search restless leg syndrome. To all these detailed mechanisms, you can search balance. And we have lots of videos there attached with plenty of videos, so you know where we're getting our data from. So it says, Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner, also a chiropractor. I'm Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor, and we appreciate you watching.